So you part it into an inch section. You pick half. You could either use a brush or comb for the application. You start half an inch from the scalp and work your way down to an inch. So half an inch from the end. You let it process for 10 to 25 minutes. Then you do a strand test, which you take the comb the hair down against the scalp. If the hair pops up, then you have to continue processing the hair. When process, you comb it from the root to the end, and you leave it on for 5 minutes. After you rinse the hair with warm water, you wash the hair with normalizing lotion to bring the pH of the hair down to accident level around 7 from 13, because the relaxer brings the hair up to a pH of 13. And you have to let it go down in order for the hydroxide to do its job.
Does anybody have any questions for Mia?
It's basically what's already naturally in your hair, but it's a healthier way of relaxing your hair. Most people don't use it because the fact that it doesn't take out as much curl. So it's basically reforming your hair, and it only coats the outside and removes the frizz while the hydroxide doesn't, and it chemically alters your hair. And prior to it, you shouldn't dye your hair at least 2 weeks before or after, and don't wash your hair at least 3 days after. In order to do it, you have to wash their hair with clarifying shampoo for 10 minutes, then rinse them and bring them back to your station. Leave it in for 10 to 40 minutes depending on how much curl you want to take out from their hair. And then once you're done that, you rinse it again. You blow dry it, and then you flat iron at 450 degrees. And then it takes at least 2 hours or more to do it, and it costs more money than a hydroxide relaxer. And then it's good and bad for your hair, because sometimes, depending on how much heat you put on after, it can break their hair or it can reform their hair. And I feel as though it's better because you have a better chance of fixing your hair rather than a hydroxide where it can break it and make it feel more brittle and dry. Oh, and it lasts for up to 6.5 months or longer, and then you have to redo it. And it usually costs around $400 your first, well, just to do it at all. You shouldn't really straighten your hair after getting it because it's going to help it anyways. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Taylor, could you please come and demonstrate how you apply the keratin relaxer?
With clarifying shampoo and then leave that in for 10 minutes. After you wash it out and bring it back to the station, you have to section it and then apply it from the root to the end, starting at the nape area. And then you massage the product with your fingers, and then you comb the hair through. Then you leave it for 10 to 40 minutes, depending on how much curl you want to be relaxed. And then after that, you rinse. After you apply it to the whole head, you rinse it out, and you section the hair and then blow dry it. And then once it's completely dry, you flat iron it at least 450 degrees so that the product can sink into the hair. That's it.
Anybody have it?
We have 24 students, and we divided the class into 4 groups. And they're all going to demonstrate some of the techniques for flat ironing and making the hair straight. And remember, this is without chemicals at all. So our first group has the flat iron. So every team has a team leader, and they're going to come and present. So Nana's the first one.
Hello, my name is Yanixa. Alright, so I'm going to start off with the history of the flat iron. And back then they used to use a clothing iron, and they used to lay down the client basically, and they either have a paper bag or a towel, and they would put it under the hair. And basically they would make sure there's no knots. and they will softly press it down on the hair and just straighten it like this. And you can also use the paper bag if you want to. It's kind of your opinion if you like a paper bag or not. And that's basically how they did it back then. And as the years went on, you can see that the straighteners kind of improved. You can see they have a little straightener for like the little hairs, or if you have like really thin hair, you can use this. And you can see there's different sizes. They improved on that, and they also improved on the heating. There's some that you can see it's like higher than others, and I can show you now. So right here, I'm just going to demonstrate how you straighten hair. Basically, you make sure there's no knots. And when you straighten hair, you should make sure that when you have subsections, it should be straight so you can get all the roots and make sure you get all the curliness. So make sure your sections are little and straight. Then you clip up the rest so nothing can get tangled. So start off little by little. And you start from the roots. Make sure you don't get too high to burn her scalp. And you keep going until it's straight. Now when you straighten your hair, I prefer to wash it first, because if you have all that gel and chemical, it can burn your hair faster, and it's just not good for your ends. And that's how you get a lot of split ends and stuff like that. So as you can see, this part is really curly, and this part is really straight, and like good. And like when you straighten hair, there's different ways you can straighten it. You can straighten it and flip it out, or you can straighten it, you can have it grow straight, or you can flip the ends in so it can, go around your face and like structure your face. And that's how you straighten hair.
All right, our second group is wrapping.
Taking it down, but this is how it looks when it was wrapped. So she's just going to show you how you wrap your hair. Right now she's brushing the hair down. Now you brush the hair tight to the scalp or to the head, and like make sure you got it really good. Now you bobby pin it so it could stay in place. There's also greases or creams that you can use to hold it in place. So the hair is not that frizzy. And as you can see, she's just going around, bobby pinning it up.
More bobby pin.
You can stop.
Sorry.
When you're finished bobby pinning it up, it should be like this all the way around. Bobby pinned up. And these are different ways. How you can bobby pin it. Some use a scarf. The Hispanic people like it where there's like a little volume there. So they'll put like a roller, any size roller. And this is how, when you're finished Just start to look. That's good.
I want to bring out that this is one of the parts that they have to do for the state board. So not only we have the history on this, but also they have to demonstrate this when they go take their state boards.
Alright, so we're gonna start off with the history of the pressing comb. The pressing comb is a hot comb, also known as a straightening comb. It is a metal comb that is used to straighten modern or coarse curly hair. It is used to heat and to straighten hair from the roots. It can be placed in a stove that is like it electrically heats it. The hot comb was an invention developed in France as a way to achieve the straight, fine look. This tool was patented by Annie Malone, which we have a picture of her right back here. Many debated if this was beneficial or hurtful to the black community. There were some African Americans who believed that the hot comb damaged the African American community because it made the community submissive to the white ideal image of beauty and discarded the African American culture.
Okay, so now she will apply a small amount of pressing oil to prevent the hair from burning. She will subsection the hair to make it easier to straighten. And on this subsection, she will demonstrate a soft press, where she will comb out the knots from tangling.
You have to
Test the comb to make sure it's not gonna burn her hair off and like rip it off. So here's her demonstration of a soft press, where she will go over the hair once, with the back part is what makes it straighten, and under the hair. And that is a demonstration of a soft press. And in the next section, she will repeat what she did to the first one, but this time she will go over and under twice to demonstrate a hard press. That is a demonstration of a hard press.
That's it.
That is sometimes called a wet set, and when you do it, you have the hair wet and you section it, and like depending on how much like volume you want is depending on how big the rollers is. So you start with these two, and then you work your way down the middle in the back, and then you go with the sides, and then to take it out, to make it like have more body, they use a roller, not a ruler, a paddle brush and a blow dryer, and if you do it this way, but if you just take it out, it'll come out like that one over there. And then that's the roller set.
Yarn. My name is Rosario, Sebastian, and Jadasia. And the chignon is a type of hairstyle that is achieved by pinning the hair into a knot at the nape of the head or at the bottom of the head. There are many different types of chignons. They are worn on special occasions like weddings, proms. You can wear it to a party if you're trying to look nice. A basic chignon can be worn daily or on special occasions. The chignon can be traced back to the ancient Greece. Back in Grecian times, women would wear the hairstyle with gold or ivory haircraft hairpins. Now the classic chignon, which is like this one. The classic chignon has gone from just pulling the hair back to incorporating braids and twists, like such as this one, where the hair was parted and twisted into the chignon, and the stylists even twist the knot like this, and they even create the knot into braids such as fishtails, French braids and Dutch braids, or any kind of braid, and just pin it up. And no, so the chignon has changed from Greece times now to twist and braid.
Prom are typically to be inspired by the debut balls, which are events that formally debut teens from wealthy families into society. Debut balls typically requires the girls to wear long white dresses and white gloves, but prom dresses come in every color. Through today, proms are mainly in high school events. Prom history reveals that they began in American universities in the 19th century. These co-ed prom-day balls were simply events held for graduating classes. Prom started gaining popularity in the 1930s when our culture started to recognize adolescents. By 1940s and 50s, prom began a rite of passage for American teens.
In the 1930s, there was a hair shirt called the Victory Rose. The 1940s was a pin-up style. The 1950s, a lot of volume. The 1980s, teasing, perms, and a lot of height. The 1990s was just straight. The 1960s and 1970s were not a great time during prom history. The 1960s and the 70s weren't a great time in prom history. Many teenagers were more interested in rallying for anti-war and civil rights cause and wanted to resist of conformity. Prom, which had been attended by their parents and grandparents, seemed old-fashioned and attendance declined.
Our doll head just did a French braid, and we just fanned it out, and we just did wand curling at the bottom. That's our presentation.
And we're doing updos for French twist. You can see there's a doll right here with a French twist, and a French twist curl is common updo style. A French twist is usually worn to proms and weddings when they are in tight fashion. Also, you can wear it messy, loose look. Hair clips are usually used in French twist throughout a period of time. And in the history, the twist has a place among women's hairstyles. The French twists are also known as the twist involves winding the main protein of the hair from around its main point around the scalp. That's it.
Good?
Yeah.
This is a demonstration on how to apply UV gel polish, which is the newest thing in the market. It is the safest technique to use in nail enhancements, opposed to getting acrylic nails that contain MMA, which is cancer-causing. First you sanitize the hands, then you're going to push back the cuticle so that the product can adhere to the nail. Then the nail is shaped, and on the top of the nail, the shine is removed so that the natural oil can be removed again so that the product can adhere. A drill is not needed to remove the shine. All you need is a medium grit file, which is safer to the natural nail. At this point, she's applying a dehydrator. This will make sure that the natural oil is removed and the nail is cleansed. UV gel can be applied with a tip and also without a tip. A tip is only used when you want to have an extension, a longer looking nail. But you can also do this just naturally on the natural nail just to give the natural nail more strength. And if you want the polish just to last about 2 weeks. It is always advisable to give the client a length that is appropriate for their occupation. At this point, she's going to shape the artificial nail, the tip, and she's also going to blend the seam line so the tip can actually be smooth to the natural nail and to remove the shine off of the nail tip. Always make sure to remove all the dust because the dust particles will actually act as a barrier for the product to be able to stick. And you're going to also see bumps, so you want to make sure that the surface is clean. At this point, she's applying a primer that this has. This actually is called a no chip. Every manufacturer has a little bit of a different technique, so always read the manufacturer's instructions. The fingers are placed under the UV light for 60 seconds. I'm sorry, this one was placed for 10 seconds. My mistake. Now the bond, the base coat, this one's going to be for a minute, 60 seconds under the UV. And you apply this just like if you're applying polish, always staying away from the cuticle and the sidewalls. This particular product has no odor. This is the advantage, the benefit of using gels. There's no odor, whereas when you're dealing with acrylics, you have that strong, pungent smell. And most shops are trying to stay away from that and trying to be more environmentally friendly. Now she's applying the gel polish. They come in assorted colors. Not only will she have color now added to her nail, but also the gel acts like an overlay to the tip, and it fortifies the tip, so this will last her for 2 weeks. Now the second layer of polish will be applied. This one actually deepens the color. You have a more, a better coverage. And if you notice, she has one nail showing a tip application, and the other finger is just applying the gel overlay on the natural nail. We wanted you to see the two different looks. Now the last thing that we apply is actually the top coat. The top coat will give that extra shine. This will also get placed for a minute. Now when the minute is up and the fingers are taken out, there's going to be a tacky layer on the nail surface. This is called the inhibition layer. The inhibition layer has to be removed, and different companies have a different nail wipe that is used. They're all alcohol based, so you need to remove that. So we would saturate a nail wipe or cotton. And now you just apply it on top of the nail. Don't have to be scared, it's all dry. So you carefully remove all that inhibition layer, the tackiness. So you basically have an overlay and polish at the same time, so you don't have to go apply polish like you would with just regular acrylic. And because we just wiped her fingers with something that's alcohol based, and being that we use chemicals products, we like to always put cuticle oil around the cuticle just to add back all the vitamins and nutrients and lubricate it. And at this point, then the client will go to the sink, wash their hands, and they're done. So it's really quick and easy and environmentally friendly and safe.